The shield was close to his face. Seo Jun tried to use his brain. The only answer was to block the shield at all costs. Seo Jun's personal system board suddenly appeared on his left. He quickly turned to look, in his heart panicked and angry, asking, "Is there any way?" "No way." Seo Jun's eyes stopped at the line of professional skills, spear, available skills. Seo Jun stared at the words and thought, throw. This is a skill that enhances the power of the throw attack by consuming mana, although it is a supernormal skill like this ordinary profession. But now, thinking of it, Seo Jun's hand involuntarily clenched the spear. A stream of blue smoke emanated. Seo Jun moved the spear to the back. Seo Jun took courage, angry with himself. He had to bet everything on it. The blue light around the spear grew brighter and brighter. Seo Jun ordered in his head, "Use the skill." Seo Jun took aim, ready to throw forward. With all his strength, Seo Jun threw the spear hard forward. After throwing, Seo Jun was a little puzzled, but this skill, next to its name. The skill name that Seo Jun read earlier was throw, extreme, so Seo Jun wondered. It seemed like there was another word that sounded very strange. The spear broke the shield in two. The spear continued to fly towards the monster, piercing through its belly, making a large hole in its belly. The monster cracked into pieces. It screamed in pain. A loud explosion, dust and smoke enveloped the area. A voice rang out, "Floor boss, prison warden had been killed. You were awarded points, 500 points." Seo Jun tried his body. He still kept the posture right after throwing the spear, his eyes blank. The voice continued, "The Lord's ring had absorbed the soul of the monster." Seo Jun collapsed to the ground, fainted. A stream of green smoke from the monster flew to the ring on Seo Jun's hand. The sunset gradually fell in Seoul, South Korea. COA was stroking the black cat lying on her legs. Someone called her, "COA." She immediately replied, "Yes." The gentleman sitting next to COA smiled kindly and advised, "If you want to keep it at home, you have to ask your parents' opinion." "Okay." COA obediently smiled and answered, "I know, yes." About 2 hours ago, COA sat in front of the black cat she met on the way. COA was surprised and said, "So, you can talk?" The cat politely greeted, "Hello, what is your name?" COA friendly replied, "I'm COA." COA suddenly thought of something. She looked up at the sky, stroked her chin and said, "But, how can a kitten talk?" The cat quickly answered, "But I'm a special cat." The cat continued, "I'm a talking cat." COA's eyes sparkled. She covered her small mouth in astonishment. COA exclaimed, "Wow." The cat asked, "COA, can I ask you a favor?" The girl immediately agreed, and asked, "Yes, what is it?" The cat looked at COA coldly and said, "Hide me." COA's face turned pale. She hurriedly hugged the little cat. Her small head turned back and forth as if afraid of something. COA panicked and said, "Is there a villain? Is there a bad guy?" The little cat was hugged tightly by COA but still kept calm and answered, "That's right, the bad guys know I'm a talking cat. They will take me away." COA let go of the cat, innocently asked, "Is it okay with me?" The cat answered, "Yes, you are also a special person like me." COA saw Mana right. She finished. Around COA radiated a stream of sparkling blue light. COA was amazed, covered her mouth, hurriedly said, "Oh, it's a secret." The cat said with a firm voice, "It's okay, I won't tell anyone." COA innocently asked, "Really?" The cat did not answer but gave a condition, "Instead you have to keep the secret that I can talk." COA extended her little finger to the cat, happily answered, "Okay, I understand, I promise." The little cat happily raised its paw and said, "Okay." Its paw touched COA's pinky finger, and both of them said in unison, "Promise." Returning to the present, Hee-John asked, "Have you named it yet?" COA excitedly replied, "He told me to call him teacher." Hee-John, puzzled, asked again, "Really?" COA quickly covered her mouth, her face turning pale, and exclaimed, "Oh!" Time seemed to stand still. COA, confused, looked at the girl. COA kept her mouth covered and said nothing more, while the little cat calmly slept on the girl's lap. Hee-John laughed, thinking to himself, children's imagination is indeed rich, COA said kindly. I will go get some food for you. COA forgot her fear. The girl happily replied, yes, yes, please. He-John left the room, closed the door behind him, leaving only COA and the little cat still sitting on the sofa. The cat then sat up and took a deep breath, saying, not being able to speak is really annoying. COA naively asked, you can't speak? The cat explained, if anyone other than COA finds out, it's not allowed. COA, confused, said, what should we do then? The cat calmly replied, don't worry, I will teach you a very cool trick. The cat whispered into COA's ear, it's called speaking with your thoughts. COA, bewildered, said, is that telepathy? COA asked, how do you do that? The cat answered, COA, you can easily do it, just use your thoughts to talk to me. COA didn't reply, she fell into deep thought, using her thoughts to communicate. COA closed her eyes, relaxed her body, and once again, the aura of Sang-san radiated from her. Are you asking in your mind like that? From inside COA's head, the cat's voice responded, exactly. COA joyfully exclaimed in her mind, wow, this is amazing, I can hear the voice in my head. The cat also switched to speaking with thoughts, if COA wants, I can teach you many more spells like this. COA asked back, spells? Is this magic? Yes, and COA, you are the one who can create magic, you are a wizard. COA's eyes widened in amazement at the cat's words. Proficiency in skills, literally, is about the level of mastery of a particular skill, usually divided into 6 levels. Including insufficient, normal, exceptional, exquisite, superior, depending on the level, the magical power is divided accordingly. In the bamboo forest, the sword saint was explaining to Seo-jun, the skill of throw seems very simple and without any strong points. He said evenly, increasing its proficiency is just as simple. So you should practice to increase your proficiency, the sword saint told Seo-jun. Throw, Seo-jun thought, with just starting to practice, the proficiency is poor. Throw, Seo-jun pondered again, observing and learning how to use it would be insufficient. Throw, recalling past battles, Seo-jun reflected, understanding and being able to use it would be normal. Throw away, Seo-jun thought silently, using the skill for many years to accumulate usage would be exceptional. Throw away, still contemplating in his mind. Seo-jun thought, having the ability to use the skill in various aspects and a deep understanding of it. And the ability to overwhelm others with the same skill would be exquisite. And finally, Seo-jun pondered, if that skill could lead all other skills, it would be superior. Study, Seo-jun breathed heavily. Why stop caring? A man standing behind him asked. Did you think your skill proficiency was high enough to be complacent? The man continued to speak. Seo-jun turned his head to look at him. Snap out of it, Seo-jun, you are weak. The man speaking looked exactly like Seo-jun. He angrily said, the profession is nothing special, even the throw skill is terrible. If you really want to be stronger, Seo-jun said seriously to him, if you want to catch up with talented people. Seo-jun held the spear firmly in his hand. Throw, the voice said. The spear threw forward, the tip of the spear emitted a dazzling light. Seo-jun was determined and silently thought, until death. Seo-jun woke up groggily. Where is this? He propped himself up and looked around bewildered. That's right, I fainted after using the skill, Seo-jun remembered in his head. I didn't focus on the profession then, so I couldn't see it. He opened the system board to check, and Seo-jun pondered, was the power then possible? On the system notification, professional skill, throw extreme, characteristic skill, Seo-jun looked at the notification and felt relieved. Indeed, the skill was the same as before the regression. Extreme proficiency level hidden outside the normal levels set by the system, Seo-jun thought. As far as I know, I'm the only one who got here, Seo-jun thought, because the hunters of superior level are also rare enough to count on the fingers. But when I regressed, my physical ability also improved. Seo-jun looked at his own hands and thought, so I thought it was natural to reset the proficiency level. Checking the system, Seo Jun was surprised to see the system display that it was deleted. He thought, I wonder if the information was deleted when I came here. Was that the information before the regression? This is really better than the king's ring, but now with this body if I use it once I will faint, so this will be the last resort. Thinking so in his heart, Seo Jun propped himself up and decided, first go to the second floor. Suddenly Seo Jun saw something. He exclaimed, oh wow. Looking at the door with a red circle in front of him, Seo Jun wondered, there is no lock and no keyhole. What is this, so I don't have to fight the bugs? Seo Jun doubted, reaching out to open the door. He thought, anyway, it's better than fighting. The system rang out the notification, completed the tutorial mission, points were awarded, 100 points, and the tutorial tower on the second floor entered the garden. Seo Jun stared blankly at the branch in front of him. The system notification, the tutorial mission has been updated. In front of Seo Jun was a forest full of light. The system notification rang out again, at the intermediate checkpoint, please go to the rest station. Seo Jun smiled helplessly, this is not a garden, but a tropical forest, he doubted. In the forest, there was a well full of clear water. The leaves fell lightly on the surface of the well. Seo Jun dunked his head into the clear water. He looked up, coughed and said, alive. I walked all day but didn't expect to have no place to rest. Seo Jun thought, what kind of garden is this big? In addition, all the food was also used a lot. In his bag he only had 1 pack of cookies. Seo Jun pondered, if I go a little more I will faint. He looked up at the sign. Seo Jun propped his hand on the railing and said, finally got here, rest stop. In front of Seo Jun was a wooden house. The system notification completed the tutorial mission. The system notification, points received, 100 points. Seo Jun pushed the door and entered the wooden house. Please come in, a voice said. Seo Jun looked at the source of the voice. In front of him was a cute teddy bear wearing glasses, pushing his glasses and smiling at him, welcome to this rest stop. Teddy bear, Seo Jun, was amazed and asked again. The teddy bear smiled and answered, yes, I'm a teddy bear, let's get along well. Okay, let's get along well, I'm Lee Seo Jun, he said and reached out to shake hands with the teddy bear. The stuffed bear looked at the hand approaching its face and, in shock, turned pale and dropped the paper it was holding. Why so? Seo Jun asked, puzzled. The stuffed bear, while shaking hands with him, said, I was just startled. We've just met, and you're already greeting me and introducing yourself for the first time. I am 23. 23, is your name a number? Seo Jun asked the stuffed bear, a bit surprised. 23, shyly covering his face with his hand and squinting with a smile, said, yes, that's right, the reason is a secret. If you're curious, give me 50 million points. If that's the case, 23, can you show me what's for sale here? Seo Jun asked. Oh, you know there's a store here? 23 asked, surprised. I heard from outside that there's a store on the second floor, Seo Jun explained. If that's the case, then things will be easier. Here, look, 23 said, smiling happily as Seo Jun spoke, and the system display appeared before Seo Jun. All are survival items. Seo Jun looked at the system display board, hesitating and thinking to himself, although I really need food, but... 23, aren't these items too expensive? Seo Jun asked, somewhat incredulously. I could only buy 7 pieces of beef with that. My goodness, are you planning to buy only that item? Are you begging? 23 couldn't believe what Seo Jun said. Holding his cheeks with both hands, he asked Seo Jun doubtfully, inside the dungeon, every item is nearly prohibitively expensive, Seo Jun thought grimly. If beef jerky is too expensive, there are also unprocessed items, these are reasonably priced products. As 23 spoke, he scrolled through the system screen to the mushroom and vegetable products with cheap prices, smiling and saying, there's no unnecessary item for survival. My goodness, haven't you looked around yet? If you're curious, you have to give points, 23 said, smiling slyly. Seo Jun silently watched him without saying anything. This kid, pretending to joke around all this time, and now hesitating to buy things that are only sold here, Seo Jun thought to himself, I was actually planning to buy that. Thinking so, Seo Jun said, alright, then. I want to buy information, Seo Jun said. Information? 23 was surprised to hear him say so and asked for confirmation. Seo Jun affirmed, yes, I want to know all the point supply routes in the dungeon. There's also a store on the upper floor, you can buy there too, there are more diverse and cheaper items, but information is only sold at the point store on the second floor. Seo Jun thought to himself, in other words, buying information here will be useful for the best point collection. That's 1,500 points, you can't afford it, 23 said. Is that so? Seo Jun asked back. Then choose something else, the most efficient way to earn the most points, Seo Jun inquired. That's 800 points, you're short by 50 points, 23 said, pushing his glasses. All of this? Seo Jun expressed his admiration, thinking to himself, does that mean the scope is even smaller than this place? 23 looked at him, deep in thought, and silently smiled meaningfully. Indeed, this clearly means I'm at a business loss, 23 suddenly spoke up. Seo Jun snapped out of his thoughts and looked at 23. This time I'll give a special discount, only 750 points, 23 said. Seo Jun, hearing this, was astonished and exclaimed aloud, oh, I've never heard of any precedent for a discount. Seo Jun couldn't believe it and asked 23, why? 23 turned away to another place and hesitated to speak, that matter. 23 quickly smiled shyly and said, you've been playing along with me from the start. Looking at Seo Jun eating a pastry, 23 asked, puzzled, isn't that the only food ration? The two were sitting together in a corner. Yes, but if I don't eat this, I won't have any strength, Seo Jun replied while eating. What do you plan to do after this? 23 asked curiously. It's okay, now I can distinguish food, Seo Jun said calmly. 23 asked, puzzled, in this way? With the items listed in the point shop, the things sold here are essential for survival, at least they won't starve, Seo Jun said. In the list, there are also things that I saw on the way here, I mean, later I just need to look for and eat those things, Seo Jun reasoned. The same goes for buying information, you are quite smart, 23 praised and smiled at Seo Jun, really, I'm just a little quick and light, he modestly replied. You also noticed that I was tempting you to buy information, right? 23 said shyly and embarrassed, until now no one noticed that. Everyone just sees what they like, 23 clung to Seo Jun's shoulder and sighed and smiled. Seo Jun ate and thought, normally if I came here, I would join forces and wouldn't have the strength to examine many things. Wait for Seo Jun to stand up, let's go now. 23 jumped down and looked at Seo Jun and asked, okay, I've rested enough, he answered. Seo Jun smiled and looked at 23 and said, let's go find that thing. It must be hard, you also have a challenging spirit, 23 clasped his hands and looked at him and smiled. I spent all my assets to buy information, of course I have to use it, Seo Jun answered. See you at the point shop on the 4th floor, okay, 23 happily said goodbye to Seo Jun. Outside the wooden house, there was someone who just stepped here. The wooden door opened, a stuffed rabbit reading a book looked out and said, please come in, welcome to the rest station. Hey, that person called out, as he stepped and he asked, the hunter who just came, who is that? A notice board appeared, the tutorial test was refreshed, and the tutorial tower would be moved to the 3rd floor. Hearing that, Seo Jun muttered to himself that there was a high-level boss there, high-level boss. He recalled the scene before when 23 had told him, the owner of that floor is like a boss, or like a bishop, Seo Jun asked back. 23 continued to explain, that's right, actually you don't need to hunt the high-level bosses to pass the next floors, there is no problem. But if you defeat them, you will get a lot of special points. If it wasn't for the normal aim for the score, there wouldn't be so many injured hunters. Seo Jun heard that and then secretly pondered in his heart. So at the door of the 1st floor, there were no locks and keyholes for the players to freely go up to the other floors. It was completely his own misconception. But it's not bad to defeat them. If you defeat the hard boss on all the floors, You will also get a special reward, 23 said. What is the special reward? Lee Seo-jun asked with interest. You'll know when you defeat them, 23 winked and answered. First, just defeat the high-level boss on the second floor, leave the rest station, and go west to find it. Hearing that, Lee Seo-jun was speechless. He argued with 23, go west. Why does it sound so vague? Is there any other clue? If you're not stupid, you'll know, 23 replied. Back to the present, Lee Seo-jun was groping his way west. He whispered to himself. The atmosphere changed. Indeed, I don't know what to do. As Lee Seo-jun was walking, there was a sound of an animal screaming. He quickly looked up at it. It turned out to be a monster owl. Its mouth was split into 4 and each side was filled with rows of sharp teeth. Right after that, the monster owl opened its hateful mouth and attacked straight towards Lee Seo-jun. Lee Seo-jun quickly took the weapon and hit the monster. A notice board appeared right after he had just killed the monster owl with the content kill the big-beaked owl. The reward points will be added 5 points. Around the area where Lee Seo-jun was standing, suddenly there were loud noises of unknown animals ringing continuously. That made the scene of the forest even more scary and dangerous than ever. Lee Seo-jun clenched the weapon in his hand. He smirked and said, okay, from here it is the dangerous area, right? At another place, Eun-hye was exhausted and collapsed on the ground in a dark room like ink. A notice board appeared. Safe basement opened. Alpha test door. Update personal system of Eun-hye. Error cannot update personal system due to unknown error. Immediately after, a blinding red screen appeared, and shortly after, the notification board returned to its normal color, pausing the update temporarily. Eun-hye broke out in a sweat, anxiously wondering what had happened. I can't open my eyes or move, it's just like a nightmare. I must escape at all costs. Suddenly, Eun-hye heard footsteps approaching her. She worriedly thought to herself, what's happening? Is it a monster? When she heard the footsteps right beside her, Eun-hye broke out in a complete sweat. She thought in fear, this is serious. I can't fight back in this state. No, think carefully, Eun-hye. Stay absolutely silent for now. As she furrowed her brows in thought, the hand of the stranger touched her forehead lightly, and the person gently asked, are you very tired? Hearing that voice, Eun-hye suspiciously thought it was a woman's voice. She sighed in relief, thinking, thank goodness, it's a human. Then Eun-hye spoke up to ask the stranger, are you a member of the Knights Association? No, the person replied. Hearing this, Eun-hye became curious and thought to herself, this voice isn't Hee-jeon's or Yi-sang's. Then who is it? Eun-hye asked aloud. Elizabeth, the person replied. She is a woman dressed in black, surrounded by a green magical aura. She gently comforted Eun-hye, saying, don't worry, I'm here to help you. Turning back to the forest where Lee Seo-jun was facing his challenge. After searching for a long time without finding Lee Seo-jun, he couldn't help but grow dark with anger and said, where on earth is the high-level boss? But Lee Seo-jun had to keep going, walking while silently speculating. The monster will attack following Cheo-li, and there's a shortage of food. I feel the second floor is quite unreasonable. While Lee Seo-jun was deep in thought, he suddenly heard a strange noise ahead, followed by a glow of fire coming his way. Lee Seo-jun suspiciously thought, fire. Thinking quickly, Lee Seo-jun moved closer to the source, thinking to himself, is it nearby? Suddenly, Lee Seo-jun's eyes widened as he looked towards the fire. There was a giant monster sitting in front of the fire. When it heard the noise from Lee Seo-jun, it immediately turned to look in his direction. Then, it raised a finger, and a blue power radiated around its hand. In an instant, a series of vines appeared and swiftly moved towards Lee Seo-jun. He struggled to dodge the vines, then silently speculated, it's magic. Lee Seo-jun gritted his teeth and tried to cut off those vines. But as he blinked, the monster that was in front of him suddenly disappeared. That made Lee Seo-jun worried and thought to himself, where is he? Right after that, the monster appeared with a sword behind his back. Lee Seo-jun quickly turned around and dodged his attack and angrily cursed, you bastard. The monster saw that he couldn't kill him, so he used more magic. He created a series of vines around him. Then he ordered those vines to rush straight towards Lee Seo-jun. Lee Seo-jun hurriedly dodged them. He gritted his teeth and thought to himself, no, I need to escape from these vines right away. But as soon as he was about to get out, those vines rushed to wrap around his spear, making Lee Seo-jun stand still. When he saw a bunch of vines holding his weapon tightly, Lee Seo-jun now doubted and thought to himself, vines, how did they grow so fast? As Lee Seo-jun was still trapped by these vines, the monster continued to jump and attack him. Seeing the monster, Lee Seo-jun thought to himself, it was getting bigger, enhanced by magic. He quickly grabbed his weapon and blocked his attack. But suddenly the monster paused for a beat. As soon as Lee Seo-jun realized that, he quickly seized the opportunity. He hit back at the monster, making it retreat a long distance. Lee Seo-jun tightened his grip on his weapon and thought to himself, that was great. Not too slow. Why did the boss pause? As he thought, Lee Seo-jun quickly attacked him, but it escaped quickly. Seeing that, Lee Seo-jun was amazed and thought to himself, it dodged. Then the monster grabbed his vines and swung back and forth around Lee Seo-jun. His speed was very fast, making Lee Seo-jun unable to catch up with him. He gritted his teeth and frowned and cursed at himself. Damn, using this long spear in this pile of vines is so inconvenient, it hinders my actions. The vines are getting bigger and bigger. Suddenly the monster spoke to him. Why are you wearing that ring? Hearing that, Lee Seo-jun muttered to himself, if it was a ring, it was the king's ring. Just now it was motionless and didn't react because of the ring. Lee Seo-jun didn't answer the monster, so he angrily cast a strong magic curse towards Lee Seo-jun. He roared and said, answer quickly. According to the monster's magic, the vines quickly wrapped around Lee Seo-jun's legs. Then those vines pulled Lee Seo-jun's legs back, making him fall backwards. When Lee Seo-jun realized he was pulled down, he panicked and thought to himself, oh no. As Lee Seo-jun was about to fall, the monster, brandishing a weapon, charged fiercely towards him. Seeing this, Lee Seo-jun clenched his teeth and thought, it's over. With my current state, I can't block its attack. With this thought, Lee Seo-jun closed his eyes in fear. Just as the monster was about to attack Lee Seo-jun, suddenly a man rushed in and kicked the monster straight on. He used only his bare feet, without any other weapon, to kick the monster. Seeing this, Lee Seo-jun opened his mouth wide in astonishment at the scene. Struck by a punch like a bolt from the blue, the monster was sent flying far away by the man. After kicking the monster away, the man approached Lee Seo-jun and asked, are you alright, little brother? Recognizing the man's face, Lee Seo-jun exclaimed in surprise, brother, Dae-ho. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Eun-hye, after listening, said, Elizabeth, what a beautiful name. Then Eun-hye asked, are you Greek? Which made Elizabeth a bit surprised by the question. Afterward, Elizabeth muttered to herself, is it because of that kid's influence that we speak alike? Eun-hye, not hearing clearly, said, ha. But Elizabeth used magic to do something on Eun-hye's forehead and said, I'm so frustrated, I can't answer. After that, Elizabeth stepped back and said, alright, although I can't fix all the errors, if you wait a little longer, you'll be able to move. Not understanding anything yet, Eun-hye still whispered, thank you. Elizabeth turned to leave and said, then I'll be going. Eun-hye, seeing this, asked, where are you going? As she walked away, Elizabeth still called back, Eun-hye, it would be awkward if you saw me, and an announcement appeared saying, unidentified error resolved. Pausing the personal system update, Eun-hye slowly opened her eyes and said loudly, wait a moment. The announcement reappeared, showing the first floor storage tower, her name. Eun-hye opened her eyes and asked, but looking around, she saw no one and wondered, how could it be? Then, without understanding anything, Eun-hye looked around once more. Suddenly, a noise echoed over to where she was. Monsters, too, swarmed in, starting the challenge, with no announcement appearing. Open the personal system, the announcement finally appeared, but Eun-hye was already surrounded by monsters, causing her to be frightened. Elsewhere in the dense forest, Lee Seo-jun lay on the ground and looked up, asking, brother Dae-ho, why are you here? Kang Dae-ho turned his head and asked, is it just you? Where are the others? Lee Seo-jun replied, we'll meet 2 more people on the 2nd floor, but here it's just you and me. This boss is quite dangerous, the monster that was hit is starting to get up. Lee Seo-jun stood up and continued, he is a high-level boss, he is familiar with the terrain here, his skill is to control the thorns to attack. Kang Dae-ho twisted his arm and said, I see, I know. Then they both said, then let's fight together. Yes, Lee Seo-jun answered. The monster saw the opponent attack and also started to use his skill. The vines began to climb and wrap around the legs. Lee Seo-jun looked down and said, this trick again? Then he immediately used his own spear to cut off the vines below. Then he transmitted magic power into the spear. He took a step back with his feet. Then he quickly shot forward towards the monster. Lee Seo-jun held the spear straight in the middle of the monster's body. The monster saw that and also used his weapon to block in front of him. but Lee Seo-jun transmitted more magic power into the spear. Then he attacked strongly into the gap below the monster's weapon. He attacked from below, breaking the monster's defense. Lee Seo-jun finished his attack and shouted, "Now is the time." He turned back and said to Dae-ho, "Aim at the place I just hit." Dae-ho ran to the place and heard that and asked him, "Isn't this a bit cowardly?" Lee Seo-jun said, "Shout out loud. When hunting, there is no need to think like that." Thanks to that, Dae-ho woke up. He immediately went into attack mode. Then he gathered his strength in his palm and said, "I know." Lee Seo-jun saw that and thought, the profession of Kang Dae-ho that the system assigned was fighter, and the skill of that profession, although simple, but powerful enough to melt a block of iron. After a while, Kang Dae-ho put all his strength and rushed to attack. He released a large amount of power and attacked straight at the place where the monster was hit by Lee Seo-jun. The monster was sent flying far away, landing in the middle of a large hole. With a loud crash, the monster slammed into the trees around it. At that moment, no announcement appeared. The high-level boss has been defeated by the gardener, 300 points added. After the attack, Kang Dae-ho stood panting and thought, the skill's casting time is long, and it consumes a lot of stamina, so I have never mastered it until now. Then Dae-ho looked at Lee Seo-jun with suspicion, but Seo-jun's actions just now created the perfect conditions for me to cast the skill optimally. It's as if he knew my skill very well. Dae-ho thought continuously about Lee Seo-jun's actions. Suddenly, Lee Seo-jun turned around with a surprised face and asked, "Wow, what are you?" Dae-ho froze at that reaction and said, "Huh? Are you asking about the skill just now, Lee Seo-jun?" Then Dae-ho understood and happily replied, "Oh, that's my skill," and Lee Seo-jun also smiled and praised, "That's amazing." Hearing that, Dae-ho let out a sigh as if relieved of some burden. Then he thought to himself, it must have been a coincidence. Then he slapped Seo-jun's back hard, saying, "Yes, that's right." The slap was so strong that it made Lee Seo-jun choke and cough. While they were enjoying themselves, Dae-ho suddenly groaned, "But I'm probably going to die." Seeing Dae-ho like that, Lee Seo-jun was startled and asked, "Where does it hurt? Does this skill have side effects?" Slumping to the ground, Kang Dae-ho held his stomach and replied, "No, I'm starving. Do you have anything to eat?" After a while, Kang Dae-ho was seen holding a pile of fruits and mushrooms. His face instantly brightened with joy as he held a mushroom in his hand and said, "I'm alive." As they walked, Lee Seo-jun asked, "The taste is just normal, right? You seem to enjoy it a lot." Kang Dae-ho didn't show any reaction and said, "You've got the wrong idea. You need to know what's edible and what's not." Then he turned to Seo-jun and asked, "The reward shop is quite expensive, and according to you, it's just you and me now. As we go higher, will we meet others?" Lee Seo-jun didn't hesitate and replied, "Yes, after we finish each floor, we will gradually gather together." Hearing this, Dae-ho continued to ask, "So where did your first floor start?" Seo-jun didn't answer that it was an underground prison where he had fought the jailers. Kang Dae-ho, after hearing this, asked, "An underground prison sounds difficult, doesn't it?" But Lee Seo-jun didn't answer and instead asked him, "Where did you start?" Immediately, Kang Dae-ho's face turned fearful and shaky as he said, "I was in the sewage drain. The high-level boss is a giant rat, very scary." Lee Seo-jun, after hearing this, stood frozen and asked, "You fought it already, right? Bacteria must be all over you." He happily replied, "I have washed myself at the fountain next to the rest station. Don't worry about me." At this point, Lee Seo-jun became speechless and said, "The fountain next to the rest station?" He sweated in fear and remembered, "Wait a minute, the water there, I drank it." Then Lee Seo-jun patted himself to comfort himself. "It's okay, it's okay." If he said so, he arrived later than me. I drank the water there first. At this time, Kang Dae-ho rubbed his chin and wondered, "Will the others be okay?" He was very worried and answered, "It should be fine." He thought to himself, "First of all, let's see if Hee-jeon passed or not. Hee-jeon will probably pass too." He only worried about Eun-hye. She had less experience than the others, so he was a bit worried. Lee Seo-jun was thinking and imagined the scene of Eun-hye being scared and surrounded by monsters. Then he thought again, "But she will overcome it. I believe that. I'm here worrying too much. The challenge for me is still ahead." Kang Dae-ho walked ahead and suddenly stopped and said, "Little brother, it seems like we have arrived as you said." The two were standing in front of a wall so high that they couldn't see the top. Kang Dae-ho said, "Is this the outer wall?" Lee Seo-jun also walked up and looked up and answered, "That's right. If we follow this wall, we will find the door to the third floor." Then Daeho immediately said with a happy face, "Well then, let's go in." Then there was a sound from the side, "Right, brother?" This made Kang Daeho not understand what was going on and turned to look at him and asked, "Huh?" Lee Seo-jun leaned the spear on his shoulder and smiled and said, "We won't go in." In another place in the castle, the chandelier was shining and spreading yellow light everywhere. There was no one, quiet and strange. Lee Seo-jun continued, "If we go in right now, there will be nothing good. There is a girl inside fighting with monsters." Gu Heejan's eyes were scared and she stood panting continuously after solving them. In the dark room, the sound of panting echoed. Gu Heejan was sitting in a corner in the dark. Her face was covered with sweat, her complexion was not good, and she muttered in her heart, climbing up was useless. At this time, the mechanical voice of the system rang out, the preparation time was over. Gu Heejan tried to reassure herself, "I think I can endure it." The announcement continued, the third round began, the monsters began to appear. After the system announced the preparation, a horde of zombies with rotting, slimy bodies began to appear. They walked with twisted steps, emitting a hoarse, distinct cry. They started to emerge rapidly in countless numbers. Gu Heejan saw the monsters approaching and struggled to stand up, her hand still gripping the sword, ready to attack at any moment. She thought to herself, if only she had known, she wouldn't have done it. If she had known that the third floor was overrun with monsters without a break, she would have rested on the second floor. She hadn't eaten for days, her mana was depleted, and her physical strength was below par. Could she overcome this wave of monsters? Her body was now very weak, and she couldn't grip tightly enough to ensure her own safety. But in the end, Gu Heejan still held the sword firmly in her hand, channeling magic into it. Her resolve became as firm as it was at the beginning, didn't it? She struck a powerful blow towards the horde of monsters. She leaped high, sword in hand, rushing towards them, determined in her heart that she must overcome. Resting in a corner, she had regained a bit of strength. Everywhere she passed, the monsters were slashed to pieces, their limbs scattering everywhere. She stomped her foot on the ground for leverage and once again rushed forward with her sword. There was no choice but to move forward. She gritted her teeth and struck hard at the horde of corpses. Suddenly, from behind, the hand of a monster grabbed her shoulder. Gu Heejan turned and chopped off its head. After a while of fighting, she had exhausted her last bit of strength. Sweat covered her face, she gasped for air, and coughed incessantly, almost reaching her limit. Looking at the writhing mass of monsters, it seemed like the number she had killed before was just like sand in the desert. She inwardly lamented, "This is not good, what to do?" No matter how much she chopped, their numbers didn't decrease. Indeed, there were many. At that moment, her head began to spin, and her eyes gradually could not see the scene before her clearly. Her complexion darkened, her body swayed, and in her mind, she kept thinking, no, she can't fall. It would be okay here, but eventually, her body gradually lost strength and fell. Suddenly, the door behind her was kicked open. The newcomer saw Gu Heejan fallen on the ground and couldn't help but exclaim, "Oh, this. What is this state?" When she saw the newcomer, her eyes filled with tears, as if seeing a light in the darkness, unable to contain her emotions. She cried out, "Sister Isang." But it was indeed the girl with short white hair, Isang. After a moment of joy, Gu Heejan realized something was wrong. She asked, "Wait, sister, your weapon, where are the weapons?" "They are Isang's weapons." The two guns that she usually hung behind her back were gone, and the cart next to her was also nowhere to be seen. Isang came closer and put his hand on her shoulder, reassuring her, "Don't worry, come here." On Isang's hand, the force began to gather, looking at the monsters. Suddenly she asked, "So, who made you like this?" In the garden on the second floor, Alex was still wandering around. He walked and thought. There was no rest station. If he safely reached the rest station without collapsing, he would wait for the other players to form a group. But it seemed that the current situation was not good. He didn't know who was the enemy and who was the friend. According to the task of the third floor, he should have met them by now. While he was still thinking, Alex suddenly saw a figure in front of him. In front of him was a woman with long black hair, wearing all black clothes standing there. She tilted her head slightly to reveal her beautiful face with blue eyes. Alex immediately became alert, drew his sword, and asked, "Who are you?" "I am Elizabeth," the girl in front of him answered softly. Alex asked again, "When I entered the dungeon, I never met anyone like you. Are you a hunter? What do you think?" The girl opposite answered, "Unfortunately, I am not a hunter." Then she said, "It's my turn to ask, okay?" Alex was a bit surprised and asked back, "What is it?" The girl continued, I am looking for someone, can you help me? Alex heard that and darkened his face. He said, I need to ask one more question, are you human? The girl walked towards him, beautiful and scary. She smiled faintly at Alex's question. Then she gently shook her head. Alex saw that and clenched his sword even more. He said, if so, then I'm sorry. Alex used the fastest speed possible to slash through Elizabeth. She seemed to be completely defeated by Alex. She fell to the ground, and Alex stood with his back to her and said, I guess I can't answer you. He looked back a bit, feeling doubtful in his heart, thinking, it was easier to kill than I thought. There was no score announcement either. He rubbed his head to calm himself. He was not human, too annoying. At this time, someone else appeared and distracted Alex's attention. The person who came also called his name. Alex. He also recognized who the person was. She was Yoon Hai. John was very happy to meet someone familiar at this time. Oh, we meet again here. Alex said, it turns out you will be the hunter who will team up with me on this floor. How lucky. He was a bit doubtful before his words. Team up hunter. Alex explained to her, from the second floor, he would start to team up with another hunter. Uni also quickly absorbed the information, answered, oh, I see, then walked towards Alex. In the bushes earlier, from Elizabeth's body lying on the ground, something seemed to fly up, and there was a voice coming from it. Under the bad memory of the sword, there was nothing to care about. That person was none other than Elizabeth, with blue energy in her hand, floating in the air. She sighed slightly, such a belligerent kid. I thought we would meet here, but it seems I was mistaken. It looks like she's waiting for someone. Elizabeth looked up at the sky, wondering where that could be. Elsewhere, Lee Seo-jun was eliminating monsters, and the system announced the completion of the adventure guide. 500 points were added. Lee Seo-jun and Dae-ho had also dealt with the monsters. Dae-ho, wiping sweat from his forehead, said, phew, do monsters swarm like this on the third floor? According to you, if we go straight without resting, big trouble will ensue. The two reached the third floor. Lee Seo-jun was still explaining the situation to Dae-ho. In this large dungeon, pacing is very necessary. If we attack for many days without rest, the situation can become quite dangerous, he said, then noticed something. What's that over there? Not far away, there are two girls, one sitting, one lying down. It's Hee-john and Lee-sang. Seeing them, Dae-ho and Lee Seo-jun immediately ran over to check on them. Are you two okay? How did this happen? Hee-john, still a bit dazed, replied. Seo-jun and Dae-ho, and Lee-sang, who was sleeping, were also awakened. She complained irritably, I was sleeping well, my ears are about to go deaf. After regrouping, all four set off together. Lee Seo-jun did not forget to complain, no matter how sleepy, why sleep there? Lee-sang explained, what can we do? We can't pace our battles like you two. Then she asked, aren't we going up to the fourth floor? Are we planning to take down the high-level monsters on the third floor instead? Lee Seo-jun replied, if we can take them down, we'll get a lot of bonus points. And about the shop on the middle floor, Lee-sang asked doubtfully, shop? There's one on the middle floor? Lee Seo-jun informed her, yes, there are many items for sale different from those at the rest station, including weapons, counterfeit goods from legends, and many elixirs. If we have enough points, we can buy them freely. Lee-sang, understanding the issue, said, I see. If that's the case, then we must take it down. Only this room is left. After searching every nook and cranny, the four of them went to open the large door. Lee Seo-jun continued, this is the bedroom. Someone asked, that big bed over there must be right. But there was something on the bed. Lee Seo-jun immediately said, wait, there's someone on the bed. A girl on the bed rubbed her eyes and woke up. Dae-ho asked incredulously, a human? The group was also puzzled. Why is it a human and not a monster? While they were still questioning, the girl with blonde hair on the bed was on the verge of tears. She softly called out, Your Majesty, leaving the group dumbfounded, not understanding what she was saying. Then she threw herself at Lee Seo-jun, sobbing, Your Majesty. Dae-ho gaped in astonishment. Lee-sang's eyes and mouth formed an O in confusion. Hee-john was no exception. The girl still said with emotion, You came back and ignored the silent and doubtful atmosphere around. A loud scream. How could this be? The blonde girl was very angry and stood far away looking at the couple and yelled. It was not anyone else but my best friend, you. How could you do this with my husband? Myung, I'm sorry, but I don't want to deceive my heart anymore. What? What are you talking about? The voice of the character in the movie rang out. In the living room, COA was watching the thrilling scene of catching adultery in the movie. The old man of the girl had been sleeping on the floor for a long time. The voice of the actor in the movie still rang out, "Stop it, I'm sick of women like you." The female protagonist in the movie knelt down helplessly and cried, sobbed. She lifted her face up, revealing her red and tearful eyes, and said, "I will destroy everything. You two just wait, I will never forgive you two." The girl COA sat hugging two teddy bears with a very attentive face to the movie. The girl COA looked at the teddy bear wearing a hat next to her and said, Daddy bear, you can't do that, you know? If not, then I don't know what Mommy Bear will do." As she said, the girl COA brought the blue ribbon teddy bear closer to the teddy bear wearing a hat and said with a threatening expression and tone, "Back at Lee Seo-jun's place, the situation was very difficult." "What to do?" Seo-jun shouted. He was shocked because the blonde girl rushed to hug him tightly in front of the astonished teammates. Han Yi-sang leaned his hand and asked, what is your relationship with each other?" Kang Dae-ho crossed his arms and said, "It's really tragic." Gu Hyun asked anxiously, "What about Sister Eun-hee?" "I will tell her everything." Lee Seo-jun shook his head worriedly and answered, "No, it's totally a misunderstanding." The blonde girl was still hugging Lee Seo-jun and said, "Your Majesty." The blonde girl looked up at Lee Seo-jun and asked, "Why are you so haggard?" Lee Seo-jun was shocked by what was just said. He turned helplessly to his teammates, asking, "How should I respond?" Han Yi-sang, with arms crossed, replied, "Respond how? Are you being asked something?" Lee Seo-jun answered, "She's asking why I look so haggard." But Lee Seo-jun's teammates immediately refused to help him, saying, "What language is that? I don't understand it." "I feel the same. What has she been saying all this time?" Seeing everyone's reaction, Lee Seo-jun couldn't help but wonder, wait, Han Yi-sang doesn't understand either? If even Han Yi-sang doesn't know the language, how could I possibly know it? Then, could it be, Lee Seo-jun thought while looking at the blue ring on his hand, could it be because of this Emperor's ring? Thinking back, a similar thing happened when he met the Forgotten One. In the garden too, I could understand the gardener's words. And this girl is calling me Your Majesty. If it's because of the Emperor's ring, then everything fits. Looking at the worried blonde girl, Lee Seo-jun guessed some of the reasons. Suddenly, the blonde girl raised her hand to Lee Seo-jun's cheek, saying, "Oh, you poor thing. Have you forgotten how to speak?" Then, the blonde girl placed both hands on Lee Seo-jun's shoulders and slowly moved closer, closing her eyes, intending to kiss him. Seeing the girl about to kiss him, Lee Seo-jun exclaimed, Wait, what's this?" Then suddenly, Lee Seo-jun thought of Eun-hye glaring at him as if she wanted to devour him alive. Thinking this, Lee Seo-jun frowned in annoyance. Lee Seo-jun pushed the blonde girl's head away from him, saying, "Sorry, it seems you've mistaken me for someone else." The blonde girl replied, "What? But this ring," without ceasing, Lee Seo-jun brushed off, "No, not this." Lee Seo-jun continued, "I received it from someone else." The blonde girl, upon hearing this, was extremely surprised. Suddenly, the girl collapsed, her face in shock, stammering, "Someone else." "Then Your Majesty," she said, as the blonde girl's body suddenly emitted a red magical aura, surprising Lee Seo-jun and Han Yi-sang. The blonde girl's eyes widened, her pupils shining with a golden light. "Your Majesty," the blonde girl kept mentioning Your Majesty. Next, the blonde girl, with a look of great pain, cried out, The power around the blonde girl grew stronger and suddenly burst to the peak. Finally, she transformed into a huge final boss monster. Lee Seo-jun said to his teammates, "Prepare for battle. That is the boss of this floor." Gu Hee-jan wondered, wait a minute, how did this happen? She was human just a moment ago. From the hem of her blonde dress, she suddenly turned into a giant monster. The monster slashed its claws forward. Lee Seo-jun's team quickly escaped from the monster's claws. The slash was so powerful that it broke a large area of land in front of them. Without hesitation, Han Yi-sang used his right hand to create blue magic and prepared to counter the monster's attack. A weapon appeared from Han Yi-sang's hand. It was a very modern pistol that was loaded with bullets and power. Han Yi-sang pointed the gun forward and shot the monster a few times. The bullet flew straight to the face of the blonde girl who was now merging her body with the head of the monster. The shot with the extremely powerful bullet force made her fall back. Kang Dae-ho turned around and exclaimed, "Wow, what was that?" Gu Hee-jan was surprised to see her turn back and look at Han Yi-sang. He answered that it was Izum's skill. On the monster's side, smoke rose from the blonde girl's face. She still lay back and did not move at all. But not for long, she sprang up again and revealed her black eyes that looked very scary. She screamed, "Come here!" the one who stole the ring of His Majesty. The scream just created a source of power that radiated from the earth. The monsters with red eyes that looked like zombies gradually emerged. The monsters flew up in an instant. Tear him apart. Obey. The monsters flew towards Lee Seo-jun and his teammates. They fired a series of poisonous bullets down at where Han Yi-sang stood. Han Yi-sang had not reacted yet when Lee Seo-jun's voice echoed. Han Yi-sang, danger! The rain of bullets exploded a large area of land. It was fortunate that Lee Seo-jun managed to pull Han Yi-sang out of danger in time. At that moment, Han Yi-sang could only exclaim, "Monster!" Han Yi-sang shouted, "What the heck is that?" In a panic, Lee Seo-jun hugged her and ran, replying, "The boss just created that." Lee Seo-jun thought, "What a nuisance, so the boss can summon monsters and minions, huh? Look, this boss is too strong, unaffected by simple tricks." Lee Seo-jun looked towards Kang Dae-ho and thought about the danger. Our attack techniques need to be more diverse. Having thought this, Lee Seo-jun loudly signaled, "Hee-jan, Mr. Dae-ho, please close in on the CP where the boss is." Danger replied worriedly, "Huh, what about them?" In front of them was an army of monsters ready to attack. Lee Seo-jun answered, "Han Yi-sang will fight them. Please try to buy time instead of aiming for a quick victory." Lee Seo-jun continued to think that it would be advantageous for the two to approach. Those earth spirits only attack from a distance with hidden weapons. Having thought this, Lee Seo-jun began to take action. If the boss is diagonally positioned, it won't be able to attack recklessly. On this side, Gu Hee-jan looked at the monster boss and said, "It won't be easy to take it down." Dae-ho replied, "Indeed." Kang Dae-ho replied, "I will try my skills first." Gu Hee-jan answered in surprise. "Skill?" Kang Dae-ho continued, "That's right, but if you want to use it, you need time to prepare. Hee-jan, can you time it for me?" Gu Hee-jan answered with an excited face. "Of course." Looking at the rain of poisonous bullets coming, Gu Hee-jan said again, "I also have a great skill, you know." On this side, Lee Seo-jun signaled, Han Yi-sang, focus on reducing their numbers. Han Yi-sang answered, Brother, you're talking nonsense. They're attacking us. Lee Seo-jun said, I will stop all the dark energy. Han Yi-sang had 2 guns in his hands and shot and shouted, Hey, you talk big. In an instant, the monsters in the distance were pierced by her bullets. Lee Seo-jun saw Han Yi-sang fighting and couldn't help but admire him. Although Yi-sang is always nagging, he follows the instructions. Some details about Han Yi-sang's profession. He is a weapon collector, and the function of that profession is to collect and summon. Collect weapons in a hidden space and summon them as you wish, like a mobile weapon warehouse. Usually, this skill will collect many weapons and take them out when needed. Finally, the revolver in his hand ran out of bullets. Han Yi-sang, with an annoyed expression, looked at his 2 guns and thought, damn, out of bullets. Suddenly, from a distance, a demon fired a toxic bullet. Han Yi-sang timely jumped back, easily dodging the monster's attack. As Han Yi-sang collected weapons, she would focus entirely on this skill. Collecting, Han Yi-sang retrieved her 2 revolvers. And she continued to use her power to summon a new weapon. The weapon gradually appeared, a rather long barrel. A long magazine with a row of large-sized bullets. Eventually, Han Yi-sang summoned a 3-barreled gun with great destructive power. She was ready to attack the horde of monsters. Lee Seo-jun smiled and then thought, Han Yi-sang didn't have time to reload, but would completely discard that weapon for another. It was a very Han Yi-sang way of solving the problem. Han Yi-sang looked at the charging army of demons and said, Now, this time aim it. Han Yi-sang looked at the crowd of monsters, smiled confidently, and said, Start firing, the barrel is charged. She replied, You damn bunch. Han Yi-sang drew her 6-barreled gun, smiling with delight, Let's start. You damn wretches. Then she fired furiously. Into the horde of monsters, they were shot to pieces, screaming in pain. Albert made his move. As for Hee-jan, she quickly flew up to dodge. Albert didn't give her a chance and immediately struck her face. But she swiftly twisted and retreated. Albert's special move missed, hitting the ground and causing the earth and rocks to explode and scatter. Seeing this, Dae-ho gaped in amazement, exclaiming, Wow, amazing. I don't know what skill she used, but she dodged all the boss's attacks. It was as if she was playing with the boss. While Dae-ho was still admiring, Hee-jan quickly flew to Albert's face. He didn't know what was wrong with Albert, but he kept moaning. Then he angrily shouted, What are you doing? Quickly defeat the trash below. Then suddenly she frowned and wondered what, since when they, taking advantage of her distraction, Hee-jan behind realized the opportunity, and transferred mana into the flying sword to slash secretly. It seemed like she succeeded. She slashed her hand, but unlucky that there was no blood. Albert looked at her with contemptuous eyes and insulted this lowly bastard. How dare you? Hee-John used all her strength to the point of trembling, but she didn't flinch at all. Damn, she thought the remaining human part of Albert would be the weakest part. Seeing her struggling, Daeho below shouted, "Hee-John, that's enough." Then he accumulated mana in his hand and praised her for doing well. He tried to attack. He punched out a very powerful punch called Churostafit. The shell of the monster broke and created a huge hole. It was in pain and screamed. Hee-John on this side also heard it and stood still. She turned back and asked Daeho, "What's wrong with Hee-John?" Daeho said he just punched a fist into its leg. But he wasn't awake yet, it wasn't strong enough. Albert was injured and kept gnashing his teeth. You dare, how dare you attack my body?" Then his body burst out a huge amount of mana. Hee-John and Daeho saw it and screamed and ran away. Albert behind cursed how he could meet his majesty with this appearance. Yi-Sang on this side was aiming towards Albert, and Albert easily blew them all away. Albert turned back and looked at her and insulted the stupid fools. "You still haven't realized those crappy tricks. It had no effect on me." So Albert ran towards Yi-Sang. Hee-John on this side could only worry for Han Yi-Sang. Only Daeho's skill could inflict damage on it. Normal attacks had no effect. If so, there was only one way left. Then he started to transfer a large amount of mana into the spear. I told Daeho and Hee-John that they just need to hold the boss back a little. Daeho acknowledged the order clearly. Hee-John agreed as well. Then, both of them charged forward simultaneously. Albert, seeing the two charging at him, also swung his legs to strike towards Daeho and Hee-John, struggling to hold back. Daeho tensed his muscles, bracing his buttocks, while Hee-John's body shook violently as she tried to hold him back. But he was too strong, and both Daeho and Hee-John were pushed back. Unable to endure any longer, Hee-John shouted loudly to Daeho, "I don't know what you're planning, but hurry up. We can't hold on much longer." Albert screamed, "Die," and swung his pincers towards Yi-Sang. Suddenly, a whispering voice was heard beside Albert's ear. "That's enough." So it turned out that Hee-John had been straining to execute a move, and now she finally launched her spear towards Albert. It pierced through with extreme force. Boom! The impact hit Albert squarely, leaving him no chance to resist. The aftershock of the strike was intense. Daeho, Hee-John, and Yi-Sang stood to one side, mouths agape in astonishment. Meanwhile, Albert's body gradually disintegrated. Not even ashes remained. The system notification board appeared. "You have defeated the boss of this level, my queen." The dust and smoke were thick. Daeho wondered, "What's this?" And the system board displayed, "You have received 500 points. Hee-John speculated that perhaps that was his skill. Daeho doubted, could that powerful move be his skill? Then Daeho looked and saw Seo-Jun lying in a heap. He worriedly called him his brother. Then he quickly ran over to support his brother. "Wake up!" Hee-John and Yi-Sang shouted from afar as they ran back to the team. Then Hee-John checked him over and diagnosed that he was fine. It was just that he ran out of mana and fainted. Daeho wondered what running out of mana meant. Hee-John explained that he must have used up all his mana in that attack. Yi-Sang anxiously asked if his body had any complications. Hee-John answered no, he was fine. Hearing that, Daeho and Yi-Sang breathed a sigh of relief. The system board showed up again. All the monsters on the third floor of the guidance tower had been defeated. The Queen's palace had been toppled. The third floor of the guidance tower would collapse in 10 more minutes. Everyone heard and was astonished. What? Collapse? Really? They didn't give us any time to rest at all. I think we have to go right away. Yi-Sang wondered where to go. Daeho suggested going down to the second floor to rest. Hearing that, Hee-John immediately refused. No way. I tried before and we couldn't go down to the lower floor. Yi-Sang hurriedly said, "Let's go up to the fourth floor. There's a door next to the hall, right? There's no more time, so don't dawdle and hurry up." The two agreed. Daeho quickly picked up Seo-Jun. Then the three of them ran headlong. Han Yi-Sang was running and wondering what had happened. Lee Seo-Jun had just fainted, but it felt as though everything had suddenly become chaotic. Indeed, he is currently the best hunter in the guild, but have I become too dependent on him? She cried silently to herself a little. Her pride was slightly hurt. Then, all three of them crossed through the door together. The system board appeared again, indicating that you have entered the fourth floor of the tower's guidance hall. Switching to another scene, Lee Seo-Jun is deep in sleep. He quietly feels this soft, warm sensation. He said, "How long has it been since I slept in a bed? Oh, I just want to sleep all day. Wait a minute, I'm in a dungeon. Lee Seo-jun looks around, not understanding what's happening. Do you think this is not the third floor? I vaguely remember hearing the system's sound. So, I'm on the fourth floor. Lee Seo-jun looks at the stuffed bear beside him and asks, "Hey, I know it's you. If you don't talk, you'll get scolded." The bear is startled and replies, "Just kidding. That scared me. I was just kidding too." The bear says angrily, "You're joking too much. I thought we were friends." Lee Seo-jun said, "Friends naturally have to tease each other. Besides, where are we? Why are you here?" The bear answered, "This is the living room. Every alpha tester has a private space like this. And I am the guide." Lee Seo-jun asked, "Are you saying this is a convenience room?" It replied, "That's right. The fourth floor is a safe space, just like the shelter on the second floor. Of course, you can also use the store to accumulate points. Outside the room, there are also some other facilities. Do you want to see?" He answered, "Of course." The bear led the way and said, "All right, this way." Lee Seo-jun followed and thought, did it have the ability to make sound before? He realized, it could talk. It looked cute too. I bet COA would love it. He thought of COA saying, "Dad is the best. I love Dad the most in the world." He had a somewhat dark thought, is there a way to take this one with us? The bear suddenly felt a chill. It said to him, "This is the waiting room. There are two people talking. I will take my leave first." Mr. Alex replied, "All right, make sure to report to the guild leader." The other person said, "Understood." Alex called out, "Lee Seo-jun. So you've finally woken up." Lee Seo-jun replied, "It's been a while. What just happened?" Alex answered, "Oh, he just used an emergency escape ticket." Lee Seo-jun asked, "An emergency escape ticket?" Alex replied, "Yes. It's how people can cause trouble in this dungeon even without an entrance or exit." In that integral store, Lee Seo-jun asked, 23, "Can you open the point store for me? Look for the ticket too." 23 answered, "Yes. Here you go." Lee Seo-jun thought, I know. It's completely different from the second floor. At Calibu. Invite me to go. Lee Seo-jun saw the escape ticket. Here's the escape ticket. He thought, 1,000 points? I worked so hard to collect 2,000. Alex said, most of the members of the Knights of Order bought it and left already. Lee Seo-jun wondered, they didn't do the side quests? Alex answered, you must be talking about the point-boosting quests that you can only join on the 4th floor. You're right. All the members of the Phantom Guild have gone to complete them. Your wife joined hands with me on the 2nd floor and now she's also doing the quest. Lee Seo-jun asked, what? You met Eun-hye? He thought, thank God. Not seeing each other has made me very worried. So she has managed to get all the way up here. That's really fortunate. Alex asked, are you worried? She's quite skilled, isn't she? Are all the members of your guild like that? Lee Seo-jun replied, let's set that aside for now. Why aren't any of the Knights Guild members doing side quests? I'm sure if they earn points from those quests, they could buy all sorts of items. Alex said, that's true on the surface. Besides weapons, you could even buy artifacts. But no matter how much you buy, it doesn't really mean anything. Lee Seo-jun asked, why is that? Alex answered, because the items you buy in the Integral Store cannot be taken out of the Guidance Tower. Is that so? Alex continued, and you know it too. The items here are incredibly expensive, so much so that no matter how many side quests you do, it's hard to earn enough points to buy even one thing. That's why people leave as soon as they get their personal system. Surely that's enough reason. Alex said, Lee Seo-jun, you're planning to defeat the 5th floor boss, aren't you? Lee Seo-jun replied, yes. I promised Miss Sophie that. Alex said, I'm sure you have collected enough points to buy an escape ticket. If you have to, make sure you have bought an escape ticket before you go. It's a kind of insurance. Lee Seo-jun grunted. He felt like he was being persuaded to buy life insurance. Lee Seo-jun said, I'm sorry, but I don't think I can sit. Alex asked in surprise. What? Why? He answered, I have something more important to buy. Tada! Here is the scenario ticket. Lee Seo-jun said, this is the reward we can get if we defeat the boss with all the floors that you mentioned. The bear replied, that's right. It's like a resurrection certificate or a hidden mission. Its price is all the points that the alpha tester owns. But if you complete the mission, you will get back 10 times. It is a mission that can change your life by returning 10 times the points you used to buy it. Lee Seo-jun asked, but I can only do it alone, right? How hard is it? The bear answered, I don't know. No one has ever experienced this mission before. Oh, and there's one more thing to note. The script mission isn't real. If you confuse it with reality, you'll be in trouble. He wondered, it's not real? The bear replied, that's right. Lee Seo-jun thought, so it's like a hallucination. Okay. Start the script mission. Confirm replacement. The script mission has been restored. The script mission has changed. He was annoyed by the constant changes and errors. Lee Seo-jun thought, another error. It must be because I'm Daeho. This is the second floor, isn't it? There's no difference, but I'm definitely in a dungeon. It seems the mission has started, but the system hasn't announced anything. What are the completion conditions for this mission? Do I just need to overcome obstacles like in other dungeons? He realized something, that must be it. He caught sight of a green lizard. Lee Seo-jun's face was confused in front of it. Lee Seo-jun said, a lizard? It clasped its hands to beg him for mercy. Lee Seo-jun thought to himself, is this thing begging me to spare it? All monsters should be hostile to humans. Lee Seo-jun said, this friend is very interesting. Okay, you go. It jumped onto a rock. It turned around. Did you mean something to me? Lee Seo-jun asked. What? Do you want me to follow you? The lizard? Human? The lizard nodded. Do you think it wanted me to help it just now? No way. A monster asking for help. It kept waving its arms and legs. Lee Seo-jun thought, but the system doesn't say anything, and if I just stand here and do nothing, it will be a problem. Lee Seo-jun asked, okay, where to? Its face brightened up. I think it's a bit suspicious, but I guess I have no choice but to follow it. Lee Seo-jun slowly walked behind it. He asked, how much further do we have to go? Did you see something? He came to a girl who was probably injured. Then the scene was one big, one small, one animal, staring at each other. No one said anything, only the north wind blew and made the leaves sway and create a rustling sound. Lee Seo-jun looked at the girl who was struggling in front of him and thought, a child. The child reached out and called the green lizard, come here Albert. The lizard jumped closer to the child and saw the two of them just staring at Lee Seo-jun standing there. Lee Seo-jun thought, is that the name of the lizard? Lee Seo-jun spoke first. He raised his hand and said, hello. The child clenched her cloak and changed her posture to move. The lizard was worried for her. She tried to stand up but the wound on her ankle hurt again. The child suddenly cried out, ouch, and then fell down. Lee Seo-jun was startled. He was worried and intended to step forward to help the girl. He asked, are you okay? The child immediately shouted and stood up. The girl, although she had fallen, was still very fierce. She pointed at Lee Seo-jun and said with a threatening voice, if you dare take one more step, I will kill you. Albert saw the tense situation and was sweating with worry. He waved his hands and shook his head as if trying to explain to the girl. The child seemed to understand what Albert was explaining but was not sure, so she asked, huh? The girl asked Albert, he's not real, is he? Lee Seo-jun stood aside, watching the dialogue between the two, thinking the girl could understand what the lizard was saying. The girl glanced at Lee Seo-jun as if assessing him. She then asked Lee Seo-jun, who are you? Lee Seo-jun was a bit confused and asked, huh? The girl said, you heard me. Lee Seo-jun scratched his head and said, funny question, I'm just passing by. The girl angrily said, impossible. Lee Seo-jun then asked the girl, then who are you? The question left the girl stunned and silent for a few seconds. The girl turned her face away to avoid Lee Seo-jun's gaze and then answered him, I'm just passing by too. Lee Seo-jun commented sarcastically, oh, like me, huh? The girl rudely said, be quiet, if you have no business, then go away. Lee Seo-jun continued to ask, is your leg hurt? As he spoke, he moved closer to the girl, did you sprain your ankle? Let me take a closer look. The girl became even more pale and wary as Lee Seo-jun approached. She changed her stance, stepping back, and said with a threatening air, didn't you hear what I said? The girl's hand trembled as if she was very scared. She yelled, I told you not to come near here. Lee Seo-jun noticed the changes in the girl. He knelt down and laid his spear on the ground. Lee Seo-jun stood up, raised his empty hands, and said, all right, I don't want you to get hurt, I just want to help. The girl was still very cautious of Lee Seo-jun. She said, I'm fine, just go away quickly. Lee Seo-jun said, wait a minute, and then reached into his pocket. Lee Seo-jun took out a branch with red berries and said, look at this, you know what a cold energy tree is, right? I found it by the roadside. It emits cold energy, so it's often used like an ice pack. Lee Seo-jun continued to explain, it's very useful for someone with a sprained ankle. I'll leave after I treat you, okay? The girl kept a tense face and threatened Lee Seo-jun, if you do anything strange, Albert won't let it go. After a while, Lee Seo-jun said, there, it's done, and the branch was wrapped around the girl's ankle. The girl was about to touch the bandaged area and said, it's so cold. Albert also ran over to sniff. Lee Seo-jun hurriedly explained, it must be cold, it will be better in a while. The girl stood up and turned away, saying, okay, you go. Lee Seo-jun was startled and said, do you intend to keep going? Doing that will make the wound heal slower. The girl raised her hand and called Albert and said, it's okay, Albert will help me. Come here, Albert. The blue lizard saw me being called and was worried to death. Lee Seo-jun didn't want to. The girl argued with Albert. What, you said I was too heavy? Lee Seo-jun watched the two argue helplessly. He volunteered himself, said to the girl, do you need me to carry you? The girl turned around and shouted, what? The girl asked Lee Seo-jun, why do you interfere with our business? What is your intention? Huh? Lee Seo-jun was questioned and shrugged his shoulders. Nothing, adults should help children. He looked at the girl who was suspicious of him and thought in his head, moreover, it seemed that the child had no guardian. Kid compromise, okay, but only until we get out of this forest. Albert ran after Lee Seo-jun's feet. Lee Seo-jun also started to ask, what is your name? The girl answered, Elise. Lee Seo-jun commented, Elise, a beautiful name. The girl asked back, and you? He looked at the girl and answered, Lee Seo-jun. The girl asked, that sounds weird. What kind of name is that? He asked Elise again, is Albert your friend? Elise answered, no, he is my slave. Lee Seo-jun continued, slave, meaning you tamed a monster? Elise looked down and answered, maybe. Lee Seo-jun said, cool, are you a mage or? Before he finished, Elise had a very terrified face. Lee Seo-jun was about to say what, when he saw Elise had concentrated energy in her hand and put it near his neck. Lee Seo-jun looked at Elise's hand and thought, mana, a huge amount there. Elise continued to threaten, don't move or I'll kill you. The two stood there. Lee Seo-jun tried to calm the situation and said, okay, I didn't expect you to react so violently. Elise answered Lee Seo-jun, I know you seduced Albert to approach me with some ulterior motive. The two of them didn't notice that they were being watched. There was a light flashing from inside the bushes. Lee Seo-jun saw that, while Elise continued to threaten him, just like all the others. An arrow flew towards him, and Lee Seo-jun timely bent down to dodge. The arrow struck straight into the tree beside him. Lee Seo-jun looked at the arrow on the tree and sighed, while Elise seemed very angry. She stood up and angrily shouted, it's indeed a trap, as a greater amount of mana concentrated in Elise's hand. The person who shot the arrow was lifted into the air by Elise's magic. Elise controlled the mana, clenching her hand. She swung her arm, causing the man to slam hard into the tree next to him. Lee Seo-jun was sitting up, supporting himself with his hand, and inwardly exclaimed, so powerful, at least on par with William Taylor. Suddenly, a hunting dog also charged out, running towards Elise. Elise shouted, calling Albert, and Albert immediately jumped out to block in front of the hunting dog. Elise transferred her mana to Albert, while Albert also took a deep breath. Albert transformed into a knight with a helmet, shield, and sword. While Albert was dealing with the hunting dog, Elise turned to confront Lee Seo-jun and shouted, you called them here, didn't you? Lee Seo-jun, as if caught with his hand in the cookie jar, also shouted back at her, what? Elise angrily yelled, you dare to trap me? Lee Seo-jun turned pale and tried to explain, what are you talking about? I didn't. Elise angrily focused her mana, causing the leaves to fly up. She yelled, take this, I know you're one of them. The leaves became sharp, flying at high speed towards Lee Seo-jun. Elise shouted, die, and Lee Seo-jun quickly dodged, the leaves stabbing into the ground. While Elise was focusing on Lee Seo-jun, there was a movement behind her. Lee Seo-jun also saw it. Behind Elise was a muscular man holding an axe, intending to chop down on Elise, but Elise, currently too angry with Lee Seo-jun, did not notice. Lee Seo-jun immediately jumped over, shouting, Elise. Elise was surprised by his action. Before the man could swing his axe down, Lee Seo-jun was able to jump in with his spear to block the axe, saving Elise. Elise, saved by Lee Seo-jun, was no longer angry but gaped in astonishment. The man tried to overpower Lee Seo-jun, attempting to chop his spear. He shouted, asking, who the hell are you? Lee Seo-jun seriously replied to him, what does it have to do with you? Lee Seo-jun lifted his hand to move the spear. He made the axe of that guy shift to one side, and he was also too surprised to react. Lee Seo-jun pulled out his spear and aimed it at the head of that guy and shouted, "What do you want? Do you want to kill this girl?" Lee Seo-jun used his strength to slam the handle of his spear into the temple of that guy, making his whole body fall to the ground. Lee Seo-jun pulled out his spear from the deformed head of that guy and said, "He's done." Elise sat there with a black face, unable to believe what she had just seen. Elise said, "What?" Then she screamed, "Why did you help me?" Lee Seo-jun was startled by Elise's scream. He answered, "Huh? Am I not allowed to help the kid?" Elise looked at Lee Seo-jun with a disbelief expression but was no longer angry as before. Elise looked up at Lee Seo-jun and asked him, Do you really know nothing about me?" Elise looked at Lee Seo-jun with confusion and asked, "Do you really know nothing about me?" Suddenly, Lee Seo-jun looked to one side and shouted, "I heard something coming from over there." Elise was astonished and turned her head to where Lee Seo-jun was looking. She asked, "Where?" He said sternly, "Let's get out of here first, they must be coming." Elise was on Lee Seo-jun's back, sweating nervously. She stretched out her hand and emitted a stream of black smoke. A man who was hit by the smoke quickly fell unconscious. Another man also couldn't avoid it and fell to the ground unconscious. Lee Seo-jun saw them rolling on the ground with the strange smoke and stopped, wondering in his mind, what did this kid just do? Seeing Lee Seo-jun stop suddenly, Elise was startled and shouted, "You!" Lee Seo-jun lowered his head. He instructed, "Hold on tight, or you'll fall." Elise nodded blankly, "Yeah, okay." Suddenly, Lee Seo-jun ran very fast to the front like a bullet, making Elise scared and screamed, "Wow!" Elise flew so fast that the branches also shook. Elise was afraid and hugged Lee Seo-jun's neck and begged, "Stop." Lee Seo-jun still kept running. He asked, "Why stop?" Elise answered like shouting. Albert couldn't keep up. What she mentioned was the small blue beast that was running desperately behind her. Lee Seo-jun immediately stopped. He turned around and saw Albert trying to run to them. Elise climbed down from Lee Seo-jun. She asked annoyedly, "Why did you run so fast?" Lee Seo-jun smiled proudly. He said with a proud tone, "What do you mean? Running away is my job." Elise wondered, "And by the way, why did you help me?" Lee Seo-jun turned his head and looked at her with surprise when he heard Elise ask that. His face became tearful. He answered with an obvious tone, "Kid asked why. Isn't it normal for adults to save children when they are in danger?" Elise avoided Lee Seo-jun's eyes. She hesitated, "That, only when I'm a normal child then I can be saved." Lee Seo-jun was curious. Even if the kid is not normal, why do they want to kill the kid? Did the kid do something wrong to them? Elise snapped, "I never did anything wrong to anyone." Elise angrily said, "Not even once." Lee Seo-jun was dumbfounded by the fierce reaction of the girl. Elise glanced at Lee Seo-jun. Lee Seo-jun asked softly, "So, what happened to the kid?" Elise clenched her hand into a fist. Elise told the story reluctantly. There was a prophet who appeared. Elise's face was sad. The prophet said, "I will destroy this world." Lee Seo-jun was surprised. He asked, "Destroy this world?" Lee Seo-jun continued to wonder, do they want to kill the kid just because of that reason? Elise stood up and sighed. "Because of the prophecy, the king issued a warrant for me." Elise passed by Lee Seo-jun. She said sadly, "So you should go too, or you'll bring disaster to yourself." Lee Seo-jun asked, "Hey, where do you think you're going?" Lee Seo-jun quickly stopped Elise. "Wait, I said I would help you." Elise, annoyed, said, "You talk too much. Do you want to die?" Lee Seo-jun, feeling helpless, said, "Why would you kill someone who wants to help you?" Elise calmly replied to Lee Seo-jun, "The ones who want to kill you are the bounty hunters chasing me, not me. If we go our separate ways right now, nothing will happen. I've erased their memories." Lee Seo-jun was astonished, thinking to himself, she erased their memories? Lee Seo-jun stood up, looking at Elise with confusion. "Wait, I've never heard of any magic like that." Elise, without turning back to look at him, replied, "It's not magic." Elise continued, "It's a curse." Lee Seo-jun was shocked and couldn't believe his own hands. After a moment of being stunned, Lee Seo-jun hesitantly asked, "Are you a witch?" Just then, a gentle breeze blew, making the atmosphere even more eerie. Elise was surprised by Lee Seo-jun's naivety. She said discontentedly, "So you finally realized? With that look, I'm sure you don't know about the prophecies, do you? Who exactly are you?" Elise reminded him, "Whatever it is, following me will only lead to trouble." Lee Seo-jun fell silent in confusion. He wondered to himself, "No wonder I felt something familiar. Does that mean COA has a witch by her side?" Lee Seo-jun scratched his head, contradicting himself as he recalled the words 23 had said to him. "Wait, Am I really that dumb? This is a virtual world, after all. He already made it clear to me that scenarios like this don't occur in reality. Elise walked away, saying to Albert, "Let's go, Albert." Lee Seo-jun watched Elise's retreating figure, thinking, if that's the case, then she must also be a character created by this place. Indeed, if she is not part of the missions I need to do, I shouldn't get involved any further. Lee Seo-jun was a bit hesitant, but then he remembered. A young witch being chased by everyone. Lee Seo-jun recalled the sight of Elise running fast to escape the soldiers' pursuit. Or when Elise wandered alone in the forest, he told himself, being in a situation without anyone to rely on. He was agitated when he thought of Elise, always alone, whether as a child or grown up. No matter how much he tried not to pay attention, he still felt a familiar sensation. Lee Seo-jun softly said, "I will help you." Elise stopped in her tracks. Elise, without turning back, shouted, "I already told you, you fool. Are you deaf? If you help me, everyone in this world will become your enemy." Lee Seo-jun cheerfully said, "So what? Running away is also a form of training." Elise was angry at Lee Seo-jun's stubbornness, grinding her teeth in frustration. Elise turned around and shot out blue smoke towards Lee Seo-jun. A red circle appeared around Lee Seo-jun. Elise said, "Listen carefully. I just cast a spell on you. If you lie, your head will fly off immediately." She threatened, "So if you don't want to die, answer honestly." Lee Seo-jun sneered, disappointed in the kid. "I never lied to the kid, not even once." Elise stepped in front of Lee Seo-jun and asked, "What are you plotting?" Lee Seo-jun was clear, "I never had that intention." Elise asked further, "Then why did you help me?" The circle got closer and closer to Lee Seo-jun's neck, making it hard for him to answer, "Because I wanted to." She continued to interrogate, "Is there no other reason for you to do that?" Lee Seo-jun answered right away, "No." Elise clenched her hand, trying to suppress, and asked, "Then, whose side will you choose?" Lee Seo-jun was surprised. He knelt down on one knee. He gently answered, "I told you I would help the kid. I'm on the kid's side." Elise was astonished. She stood up straight. Suddenly, the red circle disappeared. Lee Seo-jun raised his hand and touched his neck. He looked at Elise with curiosity. Elise said, "You are strange." Lee Seo-jun didn't say anything. He just smiled softly at the girl. Lee Seo-jun teased Elise, who was blushing. "Am I not allowed to do that?" Elise answered, "Do whatever you want." Lee Seo-jun glanced back and asked, "Where are we going now?" Elise on Lee Seo-jun's back answered, "First of all, we have to get out of this forest. It seems like people know we're here." She shouted, "Albert went to scout the situation. Just go until we find a place to rest." "Go, go." Elise hesitated when she couldn't remember Lee Seo-jun's name. He helplessly said, "It's Lee Seo-jun, you just forgot it." Elise argued, "It's just that your name is hard to pronounce. Who can't remember that name?" Lee Seo-jun calmly said with a smug expression, "I remember the kid's name. The kid's name is Elise." Elise said softly, "That's not my name." Lee Seo-jun was startled and asked, "What?" Elise blushed and didn't answer. Lee Seo-jun asked again, "What is the kid's real name?" Elise shyly answered, "Elise, my real name is Elise." Lee Seo-jun teased, "Elise, it sounds like the name of a gem." Elise, embarrassed and angry, scolded, "Stop praising me. It's annoying, you know." Lee Seo-jun continued to tease her, "I just say what I think. You really are bad-tempered." A mysterious voice suddenly rang out, "Start the scenario mission. Help Elise escape from the forest." Lee Seo-jun was startled. "Huh." He then realized, "Oh, no wonder I haven't seen any notifications. The condition to trigger this mission must be knowing her real name." Lee Seo-jun sighed in relief. "Thank goodness, I almost missed this mission." He asked Elise, "Hey, are witches common in this world?" Elise, surprised, asked back, "What do you mean, this world?" Lee Seo-jun hesitated. "No, I mean, continent, island, peninsula." Elise exploded, "Impossible, you don't even know where we are." Elise snapped, "We are in the forest on the outskirts of the kingdom of Lyman, in the center of Germa. If you don't even know the continent's name, where are you from? Even Albert might know these basics." Lee Seo-jun laughed helplessly. "I thought to myself, although I am a regression fake, how could I know the names of continents and islands from a mission like this?" Lee Seo-jun brushed it off. "I come from a very far place. Let's put that aside. Is a witch a race or a species?" Elise explained, "I am human. That prophet is crazy to call me a witch." Lee Seo-jun continued to inquire, "And who is that prophet?" Elise added, "Some even recognize him as a messenger of the gods." Elise spoke seriously, We really need to leave here soon. If the bounty hunters are here, it means they will be here sooner or later. Lee Seo-jun asked. Them? Who are they? Elise looked down. She was a bit scared, clutching the hem of Lee Seo-jun's clothes. Elsewhere in the forest, a flag with a special symbol fluttered. People and horses followed one another. They are the ones Elise mentioned. They are knights, according to Elise. In the dense forest, after walking a while, Lee Seo-jun suggested we should rest before continuing. Elise disagreed, saying it's not safe. Lee Seo-jun hesitated but said we've been walking for a long time, we should at least rest a bit. A small green shadow ran over. It caught the attention of both. It turned out to be Albert returning from scouting. Elise said, "Ah, Beth, you're back. How's the scouting?" After talking with Albert, Elise said to Lee Seo-jun, "This is troublesome. I guess we should take a detour," I said. Lee Seo-jun, puzzled, asked why. "There's a town ahead," the girl replied. Hearing this, Lee Seo-jun excitedly asked, "Really? That's great. We need a place to rest, let's head there." Elise, infuriated, scolded him, "Are you out of your mind? Do you think I can enter the town?" It was then that Lee Seo-jun remembered her identity and said, "Ah, right." Lee Seo-jun still didn't give up, pleading, "Come on, you just need to hide yourself." Elise disagreed, saying it wasn't okay at all. "You don't know what I've been through when I was caught before," she said. Lee Seo-jun, curious, asked, "What did you do then?" Elise blushed, recalling, "I gave Albert clothes to wear to pose as my brother." Lee Seo-jun immediately responded, "Of course, that's not okay." Lee Seo-jun continued to reassure Elise, "Let's try and see. I will make it work, we need to eat something." Elise didn't want to go out, saying, "There's plenty to eat here." Lee Seo-jun asked, "Where?" Elise pointed to a tree and said, "Like under that tree over there." Lee Seo-jun looked where Elise was pointing and saw a mushroom under the tree. He was speechless. Lee Seo-jun complained, "But it tastes terrible." Elise was silent. She argued, "No? If you chew it for a while, it will taste sweet." In the town, although it was already dark, some people were still working and walking on the streets. A person approached an old man who was working and asked for forgiveness. The old man asked who he was, saying, "I don't think I've ever seen you around these parts." It turned out to be Lee Seo-jun carrying Elise in his arms. He sheepishly lied, "I am a pharmacist passing through. Is there a place to stay here?" He then remembered the plan they had discussed in the forest. Listen carefully. Going back to the time in the forest, little Elise asked Lee Seo-jun why. Lee Seo-jun told her it was simple, it was like something she had done before. Lee Seo-jun dreamily said its name was the plan where I'm your father. Oh, Elise, with a puzzled face, asked, "What? Is that a magic spell?" Lee Seo-jun explained that he would be a warrior, and she would be his daughter. They went into the forest to gather herbs. But there, they encountered a monster. And she got hurt, and he ran away immediately. They accidentally ran through the town, and that's what they would do. She just needed to act as if she was in as much pain as possible. The old man, having heard their play, only said, "Oh, what bad luck." Suddenly, the old man asked how his daughter was doing and if the little girl was still in a lot of pain, which startled Elise. She then acted even more dramatically, saying, "Ouch, it hurts a lot." The three of them were silent, saying nothing about the girl's clumsy performance. Seeing this, she continued, "I'm dying." Hearing this, Lee Seo-jun choked, and the old man was also startled. The kind old man asked if he was okay and hoped he wasn't in more pain than the girl. Lee Seo-jun had to think of an excuse, saying something was stuck in his throat, and asked if they could rest in the town for a bit given the circumstances. The old man quickly replied that there was an inn over there. At the inn, in a brightly lit room, Elise happily sprawled on the big bed. "It's been so long since I've touched a bed," she said. Hearing this, Lee Seo-jun replied, "The food will be here soon, so rest a bit." But he thought to himself that he could only order one meal because he had no money. Elise sat up and asked, "Off topic, what do you think?" Lee Seo-jun didn't know what she was referring to or asking about. She proudly said, "About my acting? It's quite natural, isn't it?" Lee Seo-jun was stunned. He said, "Don't act anymore, okay?" Hearing this, Elise, dissatisfied, asked, "Why? Why not?" Lee Seo-jun bluntly said, "Because it's bad, that's why." Angry, she grabbed a pillow and hit Lee Seo-jun. It couldn't be helped, and suddenly there was a knock at the door. A voice from outside called in, "Your dinner, sir." The dinner brought in included egg soup and bread. Elise, drooling with desire, said, "Wow, it smells so good." Lee Seo-jun urged her to eat before it got cold. As she ate, she said, "It feels like it's been a million years since I've had a proper meal." She lifted the spoon to her mouth but then didn't eat. Seeing the girl put down the spoon, Lee Seo-jun immediately asked, "What's wrong?" The girl pushed the tray of food towards Lee Seo-jun and said, "No, Lee Seo-jun, you should eat." Lee Seo-jun asked again, "Why me?" The girl said, "It's only enough for one person, and you're the one who paid." Lee Seo-jun, feeling awkward, said, "I'm fine," but the girl firmly pushed the tray towards him and insisted, "That's enough, eat." Lee Seo-jun finally accepted and took a spoonful of soup to eat. He ate while watching the girl. He noticed she was staring intently at the spoon of soup. In the girl's eyes, the spoon of soup was shining, looking delicious. She was extremely hungry. Lee Seo-jun just sighed and offered the spoon of soup to the girl. He jokingly said, "Here comes the airplane, zoom," but the girl kept staring without saying anything. Seeing this, he continued, "Oh, do you think I'm treating you like a child?" Lee Seo-jun then pretended to be exhausted, saying, "I'm losing all my strength. My hand is about to fall off," his hand shaking as if it were true. The girl, seeing this, finally said, "All right, have you eaten enough?" The girl ate the spoonful of soup that Lee Seo-jun offered. He asked her, "How is it? Is it good?" The girl chewed and then said, "It's very good." Lee Seo-jun reminded her not to talk with her mouth full. Elise, annoyed, replied, "It's really good, give it here." Lee Seo-jun pushed the tray of food towards her and said, "Here, eat it all." The girl pouted and said, "Even if you ask, I won't give you any." Lee Seo-jun stood up and said, "Who said I needed it? Eat, don't worry." Elisa saw Lee Seo-jun heading outside and quickly asked, "Where are you going?" Lee Seo-jun answered, "I'm going to ask for directions out of the forest. We should leave as quickly as possible." The girl, not forgetting to worry, angrily told him to come back quickly. Lee Seo-jun waited for the girl, wondering if they had any other choice. Lee Seo-jun went outside. He thought to himself that she was a good girl, even though she acted cold. He remembered when she gave him food, even though she was hungry herself, and she shared her food, which even adults would find hard to do. He felt sorry for the girl, who should have been spoiled at her age. Lee Seo-jun had just stepped down to the lobby and saw everyone gathered. He wondered what was going on. He thought to himself, "Who came?" He saw the innkeeper greeting someone. The person was wearing a noble outfit of a knight. Lee Seo-jun was scared when he saw that. He thought to himself, "The knights." He came up to Lee Seo-jun and asked if he was the pharmacist who brought a child with him. Lee Seo-jun knew something was about to happen.